one of the things I loved about working with Todd, and honestly, the truth is that he's less involved, but like towards the end of Fallout, well, actually, like towards Fallout 76 and then in Starfield, he was just way less involved with people. He'd come over everybody's desk, he'd walk around the whole studio, see what you're doing, come talk to you for a little bit to all the developers. Now I had a very strong relationship with Todd. Me and him just had a lot in common and we got along well. So we'd spend there talking time quite a bit and I'd show stuff. But I felt like he was very reasonable in trying to at least trying to help you understand. He never pulled the because I say so or I'm the boss. I mean, he's Todd Howard. He could say, "Don't do that," and keep it moving and kick you out. He would never do that. It's just not how his character was. So one of the reasons for me where I kind of retired is I was like, I missed Todd. I missed working with him, but it was hard. I get it. He's running this huge business. It grew tremendously. He was starting to get involved with other projects like, Indiana Jones and other things and the shows and all that. And his attention was very scattered. Some of the people that kind of took his place, they're not Todd. It takes a lot to be Todd. I mean, Todd, honestly, and I'll say this, I love Todd. I do. He's one of the greatest influences in my life. He's helped change my family. He's helped guide me. I'm a very impulsive person. I have strong ADHD, like a lot of impulsivity. And this man has been like a mentor. He's a guide. Like he's been fantastic, but patient, patient with me, which is something that I needed. So I'm a lot of what I am. He's helped kind of shape that. And I read some of the comments and they piss me off. People don't know what the hell they're talking about when they say
Yeah,
stupid shit.
I
It's
see
like,
like a hate boner almost for like Todd and Emil to a
yeah,
degree as well, and
no,
pisses me off.
I equate some of that to his success. You know what I mean? Like, and that's unfortunate because the man deserves to be successful. He's a phenomenal person. And is he perfect? No. Does he call all the shots perfectly? No. I can't tell you how many times I like told Todd, man, that's not a good idea. That's bad. That's not good. Or that I've kind of kept my mouth shut. I'm like, ooh, I don't think that's so great. Typically, though, I would communicate if I felt really strongly about it. Me and Todd at least could communicate on that. Was a lot of people were afraid to say no to Todd, and I think that hurt him because a lot of people were afraid to say no to Todd. There's a number of things that it's like George Lucas. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
George Lucas. I think George Lucas is a genius. I think geniuses come up with terrible ideas too. Like they're not all going to be hits. But if you don't have somebody to help you filter through these things and give you an honest assessment because they're afraid to tell you what they really think, it actually does hurt you. So, and I think that kind of happens to Todd a little bit in some regards. But for the most part, I mean, I think he is really good at finding fun. Like he's just really good at that. And he is really good at helping, trying to see how big of a get finding fun for the majority of people that will play the game. You know, so there are people that will hate this or that hate settlements or they hate that. But the majority of the people they try this stuff overall and they're like, man, this is a good thing. So he tries to kind of include as many people as possible into making the game accessible to them as an experience. And he's really good at that. Whatever decisions are made, he's going to take the heat for it. Hardcore. He's going to take the heat for it, you know? Um, and so because the stakes are also higher financially, especially, he'd take the heat. Maybe Todd Howard, but you only get so many, you know what I mean? So, this whole thing with Microsoft, like now Todd used to be, almost, yeah, he had, Robert Altman and people above him and all that stuff. And, but that was a relationship where Todd had a lot of very much like I felt like the relationship I had with Todd. I would kind of muscle things in there, and Todd would kind of give me the freedom and space to do it. As long as I didn't break anything, he was like, give me the freedom and space to do it for the most part. As long as I didn't have to take up resources and whatever. And it was the same thing with him with leadership back then. Todd had the flexibility to do what he wants. I'm not sure so sure he has that flexibility anymore with Microsoft. There's a lot more people up top pulling strings. So um, I think that can impact his way of thinking, with future development, because there's metrics that need to be met and all sorts of stuff. And I'm just like, I just don't envy it. So it's like, and stuck in some ways, Todd is stuck in the middle. He has the people above him with expectations, and he has the people below him with expectations, you know? and like, constantly pushing the Todd and doing this, oh, we want this and we want that and this and that, and then from the top, like, we need this, we need that. You have the people at the top providing the money to make the game, and then you have the people at the bottom who make the game, you know, and it's like Todd has to kind of walk the line there. It's I can't even imagine the kind of stress that brings with it. No, he walks a minefield, I think, with a lot of stuff. Now, uh, I'd say Todd is pretty good at walking minefields. He's very charming and very intelligent. So I think he's up for it. But it's stressful, and there's only but so much. He's getting older too. So it's like I said, um, your bandwidth for it starts to kind of like I don't think you get less bandwidth. I think you have more stuff in your life. So you still have the same bandwidth. You just have to basically kind of turn to what it is you want to focus on at the expense of all the other things outside of your field of view.
Yeah. Has he kind of taken up like a bit of a protege? Is there someone in some sort of position that could carry the reins if he had to move
As
away
far
for
as I
whatever
can
reason?
tell, no. Um, I don't think so. Um, and to tell you the truth, and this is hard for anybody to understand until you've met Todd. It's like and spoken to him for a bit. Like it's very hard to find anybody who could fill Todd's shoes. It's
Yeah.
incredibly difficult. Todd is a presence. He really is a presence. Like it's just and both in the way he thinks in his character and all of that things. The accolades when he gets them, they're well deserved, and for a reason. People aren't going to understand that unless they've actually interacted with him a bit and got to know him. So I don't know that you can easily find a protege to to like fill his shoes. I would imagine it's going to take a whole lot of people to fill Todd's shoes.
But by the time I entered as an intern, Todd was already really important. They had just done Oblivion, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which was a big success for them. They had just acquired the Fallout license, and they were, gearing up to. I was part of the production for Fallout during the internship, Fallout 3. So he was already the undisputed, leader, the person in charge of Bethesda Game Studios. So we never really got to know each other personally because by the time I had entered the organization, he was already like game industry famous.
Yeah.
He knew Adam Sessler personally. He was on I forget the name of the show. I think it was G4 TV. Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb. I think he was on that show a few times. I don't quite remember, but he was already a name in the games industry by the time I entered the industry as an intern. So he was always very high above. And even as I ascended the ranks, I was just ascending the ranks as the organization was growing. So he remained further and further away. I was eventually in meetings with him every week with like the rest of the leadership, but that was pretty much as far as we go. And I guess my one regret from my time at Bethesda was I came in after the point where you could know him personally. And I was always really curious, who's the person? Who's the person behind the fame? Because once you're that famous, and you're in charge of all these people, you can't, it's really hard to let people in and show, your weaker, more vulnerable side. How's he like with his family? What really like makes him mad? Like, does he hate Tabasco on his tacos or whatever? Those little things that really make you human, that only the people closest to you get to see, those more vulnerable parts of you. And that's just not possible. He wasn't even my boss. He was like several rungs above me, when I came in at the lowest. So that was never going to happen. But that was always something I was really curious about. What is it like to actually be that person? We'll never, no one will truly know but him. But there were a lot of people who were a lot closer to him because they had come up together when the future was much less certain.
Yeah, Todd. I think he's a good guy. When I interviewed there, he still interviewed everybody. Every hire was interviewed by him. So it was kind of neat getting. I knew who he was before I before I went there, I was like I said, a Fallout 3 fan in Oblivion, and actually in college I played Battlespire. I told him that and he apologized. He's like, I'm sorry. So sorry. But no, he's a cool guy. Right away you see it, like you can tell by watching interviews of him. He's got like plus 50 of confidence and charisma, right? So he definitely is he's a neat guy to work for, I guess I would say. In terms of like creative direction, I was always surprised. And again, this is back on like Skyrim and Fallout. He would find time to like walk around. He would just like walk around everybody's desk and like chat and look at what they were working on. And even we had like a weekly animation meeting. I was always kind of surprised that often he would come to that. And even though he wasn't really like participating in it, he would come and just sort of observe and just kind of be part of the team. So I think in terms of having to like work for somebody, I had a pretty good relationship with him.
He wouldn't have been able to sustain that by Starfield, though, would he?
I don't know how. Yeah, I mean, even then, I mean, he was spread pretty thin. I think even once we kind of came out of Fallout 4, you could tell that it was like it's a lot for one person to have to do that stuff.
Oh,
and
sure.
He has like his, he's got the senior leadership, working for him, but he's still like wants to be involved. Like he's still the guy that has to make the calls on a lot of this stuff. I think like largely he still is making a lot of like the creative decisions. He's just not the one that has to like see it executed, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So he can say, have an idea, I want this thing to be this way, and then production will have to allocate resources to do that. He plays the game a lot. He has a which is good. I mean, he has I think a really good habit of playing the game and finding what needs to change, or what he has good intuition for what'll make it fun. It's tough. I mean, and then like I think Dennis touched on that too, like with the Fallout show and he's involved in all these other projects like the Indiana Jones. I mean, I don't know what his schedule is like, but I don't know. He seems to handle it okay.